Hello and welcome to Osu History, the series that aims to capture some of the great historical moments of Osu, as well as notable changes within the game and community, and put them into bite-sized pieces of content for your enjoyment. Today, we will be looking at the complete history of the loved category of maps on Osu, all the way from 2015 to 2019, going through all of its changes throughout the years. The original idea of a loved Osu category was posted on the Osu forums in February of 2015 as an idea to give the best unranked maps a leaderboard where no PP would be awarded and most of the ranking criteria would be ignored, thus giving mappers more freedom over what they map and enabling them to use various unrankable patterns and nope, such as ninja spinners, 2B mapping, storyboard mapping, etc. The forum was instantly flooded with huge amounts of discussion and even more amounts of stars, which are used to vote for suggestions that you want added into the game, and in October of 2016 it would be added as an official category. Here Comes the Love is the forum post in which Ephemeral describes how the ranking process can be restrictive for a lot of people and that it takes a huge amount of effort from a lot of people to rank a map, which would in turn demotivate a lot of people from pushing their maps to the ranked status. He would go on to introduce the loved state, which would have leaderboards, increase your play count for most achievements, excluding star-related ones, have online replays and not grant PP, similar to the qualified category. He also stated that once a map has entered the loved, it cannot be changed without the map being unloved. So how would the maps be chosen and added to the loved category? Well, there would be a weekly community vote on the forums which would consist of staff picks mixed with maps with a lot of favorites, amounting to 10 maps per voting. Long story short, this method wasn't very good because the players had no input on what maps would actually get picked for the voting, and the votes themselves didn't matter since most of the time all 10 maps got around 10% of the votes. Another problem was that the votings ended up not being weekly, and for the 14 weeks that the voting system was used, there were only 4 votes and all were at random times. That meant that people never knew when the next voting would be, and there weren't enough loved maps, which basically started killing the hype and the community engagement that the project originally had. After 3 months of this voting system being in place, it was replaced with a new system. This system was a star priority based voting system, basically reversing how the system worked and giving mappers most, if not all say in what maps are going to get loved. The goal for this update was to give the Kudosu points some use, as they were a useless currency, and new rules were set that included the use of Kudosu stars in order to have their maps loved. In order for a map to be loved, it needed to have 30 favorites and 100 star priority. Star priority is basically Kudosu that was used on a map, and to earn Kudosu stars, you had to be active in the mapping community and earn them by giving feedback on other people's maps and modding them. Most of the regular player base didn't know how to do that, so they couldn't earn any Kudosu, while mappers already had heaps of them since they were basically useless up until now. That led to mappers being able to single-handedly get their maps loved without any input from others, since favorites were easy to obtain and they could just boost their own map's star priority with the heaps of points they already had. That led to mappers making maps specifically for loved, since it was easier for them to get a map loved rather than ranked, which led to some of the mappers not wanting their maps loved, since they did not want to associate themselves with that type of behavior. Players hated that system because of the lack of voice they had over what maps would get loved and ridiculed the system. All of this lasted for 6 months until all support stopped for the loved category, with this section being left inactive for 3 months after the staff switched their focus to modding V2, which would make better use of Kudosu stars. This leads us into the new system that was called Captain's Pick, which would later be renamed into Project Loved, led by Toy, which is set out to be what the original system was. With 8 maps chosen by Toy and Kaifin, you could vote on 4 of them, and if the maps hit a certain threshold, they would be loved. After 2 weeks, the pool of potential maps got smaller, so the numbers changed from 8 chosen maps to 6, and you could vote for 3 of them. That system wasn't functioning well as some really high quality maps weren't chosen due to more popular maps being in the same vote. So Toy changed the voting system in a way that it will remain up to this day, where maps would compete against themselves rather than against each other. This would mean that every map had its own poll and players would vote whether they want that map loved or not. So if the players wanted all of the maps in a round to be loved, they could be. At the time, the maps would have to have 75% of all votes to be positive in order for them to be loved, but as of recently that number has been increased to 85%. The vote results were also hidden until the end of the voting, so people wouldn't downvote a map just because it had a lot of negative votes, and to prevent brigading. Soon after, more people started picking maps alongside Toy after Kaifer retired, and eventually Toy would stop picking maps entirely after enlisting a group of volunteers that have a deep understanding of the current mapping trends and a good eye for quality. As of now, the maps are picked from a public spreadsheet by the captains, and the picking is a bit subjective. They can choose what they want to candidate, but they pick what's really well known or what's been popular in recent times, so they aren't just putting garbage out for voting. All in all, the Loved category went through a lot of changes, and from the ashes of the dead Loved category came out Project Loved, which is one of the best and most maintained community projects so far, and it always keeps on delivering entertaining maps and pleasing the community's everlasting hunger for cool maps that just weren't suitable for the ranked category, but still deserve the leaderboard. That has been it, and thanks for watching.